Welcome to techivi.com, your solution providers. This is Abhishek, and today we're going to be working on selective adjustment with adjustment brush in Lightroom. So one of the most important functions of adjustment brush is that we can use particular spots on particular areas in a given picture to make our different selections and different effects in a particular area. And this is generally regarded as tough because in Photoshop we generally have a lot of functions like layers, masks, and other selection tools, but it's actually not true. And in Lightroom we can also use various functions like adjustment brush and other options to make selections of particular areas. For example, in this picture, as we can see clearly, there is a lot of separation of images. Like it is completely bright at the top right corner over here because of this light bulb, and the left bottom corner over this area is pretty dark, and there is a medium exposure in the center of this picture. So what we want to do here is make sure that the whole picture comes under the same amount of exposure, and for that we can individually select these separate areas of the picture and apply our improvements and effects on each and every particular area by using the adjustment brush. And this is the adjustment brush. The keyboard shortcut for this brush is K, and we're going to press it right here. Now to increase or decrease the size of this brush, we can press the left bracket key to decrease its size and the right bracket key to increase its size, and we can also use the mouse roller to increase or decrease the size as we like it. So first of all, we're gonna focus on this light source over the right corner, and we're gonna press it a few times actually to make sure that it is properly applied on this area. And as you can see, if you move your cursor on this pin over here, it gives us our range of the exposure that we are applying it on, and for that we're gonna decrease our exposure to a value that looks good, and we can further edit while the pin is selected to make sure that no portion that we don't want to exist comes in the main part of the picture. And we can press done or click enter to make sure our selection is seen properly. And if we want to make an edit, we can just press Ctrl Z and go back to our selection and select it again and do any changes in the exposure if it is required to. Now as you can see, this is already one pin that we have selected, and now if we want to make more selection for the centerpiece or then click the new button over here, and we will specifically paint over all the area again that we want to make changes over. For this actually we can also actually reduce the softness of our brush and make sure the feather is completely 100 and flow is a little bit less, to make sure that not all portions are affected around the particular area that we are selecting. And once again we're gonna just go over all the portions again to make sure that we cover all the portions that we want to make changes in exposure or other minute changes, just like that. Now because we know that we have selected a particular area which we can check by hovering over the pen over here, and as you can see this shows us all the portions that we have selected in our image. So we can just go over the exposure button right here and adjust the exposure as we like it to make sure it matches with the contrast of the rest of the picture. Apart from that, as you can see, if you want to toggle over the various pins, that we just have to click over the pin right here, and if you think that some portions are remaining, then just click over it and it will make sure that every rest of the portion that we want to make minute changes to are selected, and then we can come back to our original image right here. Furthermore, we can increase the shadows or the whites of the image to make it more likely with the rest of the image. We can increase the highlights too. As you can see, there is a little difference in the temperature, so we're gonna increase the temperature too and actually decrease the highlight. Now we're gonna make one more selection. For that, we're gonna press new over here and select this bright portion, which is in pretty contrast with the rest of the image, and make the final changes to it too. As you can see what we have selected over here. Now we will reduce the exposure just a little bit, and before that we're gonna decrease the highlights to make sure it matches with the rest of the image, and increase the shadows a little bit, and maybe bring down and bring down the whites and blacks. Now as you can see, this brings is pretty much great in contrast with the rest of the image, and we can click done over here to see our final image. And as you can see, there is much better flow of exposure in our image, and it is much more coherent than it was earlier. And we can check that by toggling this button right over here to see what exactly we have adjustments that we have made. And if we are not satisfied, like I think this portion is still bright, then we select the portion that we want and reverse our selection by clicking Alt and just move the portion out of the image to make sure it still becomes a little black and white, and then click done again. And then as you can see, this gives us our final before and after of the image. As you can see, this portion was completely washed out, but now it seems much better as a whole. So that was our selective adjustment with adjustment brush in Lightroom. Thanks for watching.